We love Whole Foods.
We love Whole Foods. Especially the Whole Foods parking
lot. And we're about to tell you why. Oh yeah, it got real. It got real.
Okay. It kind of looks like we're kind of close. That's because we are.
Yes.
I have proposed to Gina 2 weeks ago today.
Yes.
And she said...
Yes! Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. And so we're making videos. This is our first of many to come. We look forward to rocking the raw world with video and giving our inspiration. We've done so many talks now while I've been out here for 3 weeks in British Columbia.
Great.
We did the radio show. We rocked the Toronto Raw Vegan Festival.
Yeah.
And we're just like feeling more and more of the synchronicity and synergy of the message of natural foods in their natural state. And we want to bring it to you and all of your friends.
Yeah, and don't forget about all the restaurants we've been speaking
Oh
at and packing the house.
Yes.
Packing it up.
Right on. Yes.
So synchronicity is in our field.
Yes.
It's like the energy is here. And every day we feed it with our gratitude, or looking at each other's eyes and saying what we're thankful for. How grateful we were about something that happened in the Whole Foods parking lot. So we were walking into the Whole Foods, and then somebody called my name. Gina, we're like, hey, and I recognized a client. Actually, it was a friend of a client, because part of my work is that I go into people's homes and I teach them how to make food in their homes, raw food. I teach them how to transform their favorite standard American dishes into raw vegan dishes. And so I was doing that, and this was a couple of years ago with this client, and she invited her friends over. Often women will invite their friends over and we'll do a group, and this was one of the friends. So it wasn't my actual client that I saw 3 times a week for 2 months. It was a friend of hers.
Going to the doctor, and this is what she got. It got real in the Whole Foods parking lot. And we've heard it so many times before. And so so your friend comes out and she's talking about, I have diabetes. And I remember, like, right when she said that, I was like, oh, okay, here we go. I'm ready to talk about sugar. You know, I'm ready to talk about all those things. And the first thing you said I loved so much was, oh, you mean you got diagnosed with diabetes?
Right.
Clear distinction.
There's a big difference between identifying with something and just stating the facts of the situation and being the observer, which is what happens when you meditate. You're the observer in life. So, yeah, that was really interesting how she said, you know, I'm diabetic now. I am diabetic now. Since the last time I saw you, I have diabetes. I'm diabetic now. So when you say I am something, that's super powerful. So we got to be careful with it.
I've heard I am are the 2 most powerful words, because anything that follows it becomes your reality.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so Gina, the lady was talking with Gina, and because she knows Gina, she doesn't know me, and she was talking with her, and I'm just like this. I can't wait till she asks me. I can't wait till, she's like talking for 5 or 10 minutes to Gina, and I'm like just salivating, and I know, salivating ready to say something, I know not to give any unsolicited advice. I don't do that. If I am asked, I will share. And so I'm just waiting patiently, and Gina's talking, and then she talks to me. But before she talks to me, how did your conversation go with her?
I said, what are you eating?
She was told to eat meat and dairy, not.
It got real in the Whole Foods parking lot.
It was recommended by her doctor.
Yes.
And it's no surprise to us now. We've heard this more and more, and we're not here to bash doctors or anything like that. But there is a reality that doctors in their 4 years of medical school learn about 45 minutes on the subject of nutrition.
In nutrition, doctors learn diddly squat. It got real in the Whole Foods parking lot.
We started this, and we started to feel like this energy in us because we get to share the message, and she got to hear a totally different perspective than those people in white coats that so many people bow down to and say, oh, you must know, you must know. And
to dairy and cheese, and Steve and I were just like, okay, we just had to like ground ourselves for a minute. Okay, so you've just been diagnosed with diabetes, and you're eating, I think I said that, I said you're eating something that's producing a lot of mucus.
Yes.
And what mucus means is rejection from your body. It's actually being rejected from your body. And she was just looking, and her husband was there too. Yeah, we were saying how beautiful his blue eyes were, and he was really into our conversation too. And they're both, we see this a lot, they were both trying so hard to be healthy. They're very athletic, they work out, they're in good shape, and you know, and their skin's good. It's just that now there's this thing, and the lady was saying that she's checking her blood sugar after everything she eats, and so that's another signal to me that there's something going on in terms of fear and plugging into this mentality that you are that, instead of saying, hey, whoa, let's step back, let's look back. I've been diagnosed with that by one person, so there's the diagnosis, here's me, and I'm a powerful force, and I'm connected to the powerful forces that we all have inside of us. Eating high vibrational foods hits the spot. It got real in the Whole Foods parking lot. Let's go back to nature. And that's one of the things that I recommended to her. But so then we got into the reasoning about why it's good to start with the green juices and have more green smoothies. And then Steve got to talk about sugar and diabetes, which is such an important myth to clear up, and sort of cloudiness to sort of
well, the school that I come from says if you have diabetes, the answer is sugar. And I'm like, what? Huh? Sugar? That's what everybody says don't do. That's the last thing you do when you have diabetes. And we're not talking about the sugar, which is not even really sugar. We're talking about real sugar, and that is in the form of fruit. And so, keeping in mind that there are other people who don't do the sugar thing and have great success rates with helping diabetes. So there are those people out there, and some of you might know those names, and I won't mention any names right now, but sugar is also one of those things, because when we start to eat sugars, we want to move the lymph. We really want to move our lymphatic system and get that moving. And I also noticed that the lady had these bags under her eyes, which signaled to me bladder and kidney problems.
Right, they were really puffy, weren't they? Like
really
exaggerated.
Puffy. Yeah. And this is what the meat and the dairy industry do, that really puffs it up. And if you're doing any processed food, I don't think she was, but she was definitely on the meat and the dairy. And this is really acidic, and it clogs the kidneys. And so when we start to eat fruit, we move our lymph, and we start to filter our kidneys, and these go away. And we start to get radiant skin. I mean, you know, both of us have radiant skin from eating living foods like this. And it was interesting to see her, you know, the first reaction I get all the time, and I'm ready for it. They're like, sugar, sugar. No, sugar is the last thing we want, you know. And so I did tell her that at first, being where she is right now, is to maybe take it easy on the sugar, but don't avoid it. Just take it easy, cut back a little bit, and especially add the greens. We want greens like green smoothies, green puddings, so that the sugar absorption and the sugar spikes are less. They start to just kind of mellow out with the greens. Also, cinnamon is really good for that as well. It levels it off, it slows down the sugar absorption, and then people like diabetics can have this. And I do this because in the American Medical Association, there's 20,000 different names for diseases. 20,000. There's a lot of, right? There's a lot of names, and
a lot of identities.
A lot of identities. And I love how you say that, how you bring like the identity and the I am statements, and really clearing it off from a mental and an emotional part too. And so
the problem is the body is getting too hot. It got real in the Whole Foods parking lot. The problem is the body.
Hot. Okay. And there's really only one, and it's called acidosis. And all the others stem from that. And acidosis is inflammatory, hot, too much. And so when we eat natural foods in their natural state, we start to balance the acidosis and balance their pH, and we become more alkaline. Not totally alkaline, but just a little bit more alkaline than the middle spot. And we start to, our hormones and our glands, they start to regulate and get into balance. And all of a sudden, we could start to take more sugar, and we could start to eat, and I'm saying real sugar, fruit again. I have to keep saying that, because even me, when I grew up, you know, sugar is like in Reese's peanut butter cups. And sugar is in an apple, so sugar is sugar, and sugar is not sugar. There is real sugar and there is fake sugar. All confused, answers is what she sought. It got real in the Whole Foods parking lot. There are simple sugars, or simple carbohydrates, and there are complex carbohydrates. And complex carbohydrates are a real problem. They are starchy, and I even told her about for carrots and beets right now, hold off on the carrots and beets, not because of the sugar content, but because of the starch. Starch does fermentation in the body, and the body gets more congested interstitially, lymphatically, and about. And so when we're doing this, we want to really move the lymph. We want to move our digestion. We want to start becoming regular, and we want to experience life the way we were meant to. And so when we do simple sugars, fruit and vegetables, or simple sugars, when we start to do that, we start to feel all of a sudden better. And there's one caveat to that. There is this thing called detoxification. Detox. And this is where people run for the hills. They say, they try the raw vegan diet, they feel great. And then they don't feel so good. And then they say, uh-oh, I'm missing this or this, something's wrong. And then they go to everybody and their mother, and everybody says, yep, raw veganism is crazy, get off of that right away. And the doctors, they're getting it from all directions.
Right.
It's such a shame that natural foods in their natural state could possibly be bad for us.
Right.
Is that amazing?
Only in an unnatural world
And
can that happen.
Right.
Hey, there's some food for thought. It got real in the Whole Foods parking lot. Yeah, and something you said to her too that I really liked was she kept talking about stress. She's like, there's so much stress in my life, you know, I feel like I'm working all the time. And I don't know if that causes diabetes. I mean, I'm sure it has. Sure. Any kind of stress puts pressure on the body, and anything that's already forming would just like come out. And really, I don't even like to say it's something that's coming out like a disease. It's really a cry for help from the body. And this is what I was telling her, that anything that's, you know, shows up on the doctor's blips, and I go to the doctor to get diagnosed sometimes. Once in a while, if there's like when I broke my hip and my ankle and my knee and my tailbone all at once, I went to the hospital. But I also went to the doctor regularly just to check, to get diagnosed, like to get X-rays to see where the bones were. So they are, you know, it's very useful to go there.
Yeah, if you get hit by a car, we're not here to tell you to go have a green juice. You know, definitely go see a medical professional. And in the white coats and all, for emergencies and all of this stuff, absolutely I would be going there right away. Don't try to go on a fast if you get hit by a car. I mean, you can go on a fast after, but just let the doctor set the bone back in place.
Wouldn't it be nice? Steve and I always dream about what the world's going to be like and what I don't like that word trying, but what we are contributing to. Wouldn't it be nice if we were in the emergency room and they had green juice ready? They were like giving it to you while you were there? Like, I mean, such a beautiful
that would pose a problem.
What was the problem?
The problem is that if we start to give patients green juices, then there's going to be less of a need for pharmaceuticals. And if this continues to happen, our stock market will crash because the pharmaceuticals have most of the stock market. So there is a reason. You know, a lot of them don't know. There is ignorance. You know, that they know what they know, and in the 4 years of medical school, and they're not out there bad people trying. They're just doing what they're taught. Yeah. But if we start to do this, money will cease in so many areas, and you know, they want to be on their yachts. You know, they want they want to continue on. They want you as a lifelong customer who stays alive as long as possible with as much pharmaceuticals as they can. That is part of the mentality of it.
No need to be angry at doctors. They're just doing what they're taught. It got real in the Whole Foods parking lot.
And here's the thing, not all doctors.
No.
Okay, more doctors are getting into, I've heard this, go meditate. Wow. Go eat some raw foods, fruits and vegetables, and have more of that into your diet.
Right.
You know, and so it is happening. You know, thank God for the internet.
Yes.
You know, the World Wide Web has really brought an awareness where we don't have to think of one way of thinking now.
Right.
We could think of all these ways and choose for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And
yes.
we choose nature.
We choose nature.
We choose
yeah,
nature.
For sure.
It's really good.
It's good to be real.
It's good to be real.
It's good to be real.
And it definitely got real in the Whole Foods parking lot.